Today we're going to talk about grip and the proper grip that you need to use on a semi-auto handgun. It's going to be obviously a little different for revolvers. We're not going to get into that today. Just going to deal with the semi-auto. So when you go out and when you're starting to learn how to shoot, you got to learn the fundamentals. That's sight picture, trigger press, stance, and grip. Today, like I said, we're going to start with the grip. The grip is a real important fundamental because it allows you to mitigate or control the recoil of the firearm, whether it be a 22 that's got very minor recoil, or a 9mm, or a 40, or whatever caliber semi-auto that you're shooting. Grip's going to be very important. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to demonstrate with my right hand. That's going to be my strong hand today. It may be your left hand, but I'm going to use my right hand for today. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to open take your dominant hand, your strong hand. You're going to open it up just like this. You're going to put it high up on the back strap of the gun, high up into the heel, or what we call the beaver tail of the gun. High up in it. You don't want any gaps like this. You want to be high up in there, as high as you can get. That'll force you to get good leverage on the gun, which is going to equal good control or better control. Now, these three fingers are going to wrap around the front of the grip just like this. You want to make sure they come into contact with the trigger guard. They need to touch. Again, no gaps. See that little gap right there? No gaps. If you got a gap right there and you got a gap back here, what happens is this gun has plenty of room to move around. It's got what we call pivot points. What you want to do is you want to get good leverage. Come all the way up in there, wrap those fingers around, touching here, and then your trigger finger stays on the frame of the gun, off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. That's one of the 4 safety rules. Now, if I turn the gun around right here, you notice I have a great big gap right here. You're going to take your support hand. You're going to take these 4 fingers, stack them under the trigger guard on top of those 3 fingers. Make sure it's touching, and then you're going to stack your thumbs just like this. It's going to be, if you're right-handed, it's going to be right hand or right thumb over left thumb. If you're left-handed, obviously it's going to be left thumb over right thumb. Now, one of the key elements here is, you see this big gap here. Well, on most firearms, they're going to have what they call some kind of texture, some kind of stippling there, and that's for grip. One of the ways that you help mitigate recoil through grip is through friction. Okay, how do you create friction? 2 surfaces coming into contact with each other. So you want to make sure this portion of your hand right here touches and comes into contact with the side of the gun, right? You want to create that friction. When you fire this gun, it's going to want to recoil. It's going to want to recoil straight up, okay? Or it's going to want to recoil. You want it to recoil straight up. If you don't have enough force on it with your non-dominant hand, it's going to recoil up and to the left, right? Or vice versa, up and to the right. You want to put enough pressure on it and get enough mitigation of the recoil that the gun just recoils straight up and straight back down again. It drops back down onto the targets, okay? Now, we know on the semi-automatic handgun when we shoot, now granted this is a blue gun, so this is all fixed, but when you fire it, the slide moves back and forth, okay? Now, as you can tell, the grip that we just talked about here, my thumbs are touching the side of the slide. That's not going to bother anything. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay, now if my thumb was back here, I would bleed. The slide would come back and bite me. We don't want to grip a semi-automatic handgun like that. You want to stack your thumbs. Now, on the side of the slide, you're not going to notice it. You're not going to feel it. It won't pinch you, okay? Now, I've got bigger hands and longer thumbs, so your grip may look more like this. It might be scaled back quite a bit, okay? You could even have your thumbs down here on the frame of the gun versus the slide. I think the slide is better, but depending on the size of your hands, if the frame is where it's at, the frame will work just fine. You just don't want your left thumb or the thumb of your non-dominant hand to get down here into the trigger guard. Now, as you drive the gun out, you want this and this part of your hands to come together to seal up. And as you drive that gun out, you want to increase that pressure, right? You want to increase that pressure. And that's going to kind of give you some real good leverage and torque on the gun. So it's pretty simple, really, right? It's pretty simple. Now later on, we'll do another video. I'll do another video where we talk about the pressures and the grips in the grip and stuff like that, and kind of modify your grip a little bit. That is the basic grip. Okay, that is going to be the basic grip of the gun. Now, one more thing I might add, I did almost forget this, is when you grip the gun, you want to add pressure from the front to the back of the grip. So through my hand, I'm adding pressure through my hand. I'm pushing this gun from here to here, right through the back of my arm, right through the palm of my hand. I'm not digging my fingers into the gun. If I do this, if you watch these fingers, if I dig these fingers in, the gun moves. You don't want to do that. This hand, the support hand, will push those fingers into place. Your grip pressure is from the front through the back of the gun. Drive it right back into the palm of your hand, right back in line with your bones, right? That's what's going to help manage and maintain the recoil. So there you go. That is the proper grip of a semi-automatic handgun.